share with you the offerings that I have finally completed and opened up for 2023. And this is just because, when someone like me, a coach, is speaking and we're sharing wisdom, insights, knowledge, there are these doorways that open in one's mind when they hear these kinds of videos or read these posts and think, how can I do this for myself? How can I actually get involved in doing this work? And so to have these doorways is very important. Have these offerings, have these invitations so that people can take the next step. And this is purely what this video is about. So if that is not your cup of tea, if that's not what you want to hear me talk about for the next 5 to 10 minutes, then scroll on past this one. So I've got 2 offerings that I want to share with you that are available right now. And when I put out videos, write posts, I will be making reference to these spaces. They are ready to go, as am I. I had 6 months off last year and I'm ready to work. I did a bit of work here and there, but I am ready to work. So this is what these offerings are about. So if you've never seen me anywhere before, kia ora. So ko Jade Varapana Binioni. Aho, I'm Jade Varapana Binioni, and I'm a coach. So I'm an Indigenous coach, and I think I've spent a lot of time on like my niche, etc. But really, I work with women, and my niche is who resonates with me, right? And I've also spent a lot of time. My mind's like, oh, you're going a bit off track here, sis. But that's what we do. I've spent a bit of time just speaking with people and spending a lot of time on the word coach. And let me tell you, I love coaching. Like, I've done it for 14 years. I'm pretty good at it. And I didn't want to. I love everything it means to be a coach. That's my favorite thing in the world to do, to help someone go from A to B without telling them where to go. So for me, my spaces are indigenized, of course, because that's who I am, right? So that is just like blanket what to expect. I put out a post the other day saying that, when you work with me, we become like whānau. Not like, we become whānau. When we take this journey together and start navigating some pretty unseen, unconscious spaces together, we create a bond. I'm going to talk more about this when I get into my one-on-one offer. But I've got 2 offerings, spaces, doorways that I have available for people to walk through if you resonate with who I am and the knowledge that I'm sharing, the value that I'm sharing out there in the world. So the first one is the Unearthed Community. If you know me, I've struggled to even embrace the thought of communities, but this has never been clearer. So the Unearthed Community, and I have my website up here, which there is a link to in this video as well, because all the offerings are there. The Unearthed Community is for high-performing sisters of any background, any culture, to continue to take up space boldly, right? But with her sense of peace, freedom, and calm intact. There's one thing to be out here, high-performing, killing it, get it, and then there's another thing to like have all of that and have your sense of freedom, peace, calm, intact. And for me, I've been building this business, Unearth Your Worth, for 6 years. I know what it means to hustle and to go hard and be high performing and get it done and be the one without my sense of peace, freedom, and calm intact. And let me tell you, I don't want it like that anymore. This is why I've done this work. This is why I've created ways in which other people can understand how they can have their cake and eat it too. So this community is for sisters who want to understand themselves, how they are designed to show up in the world, communicate in the world, move in the world, right? Who want to play smart, but have understood that just doing it how other mentors, other people, other cousins, other friends, other family members have told them to show up, like told them what works, they realize that doesn't work and they need to go deeper. They need to get deep within themselves. And we are in a time where we are moving into a time where our currency is our integrity, how well we can be in alignment with our purpose, our passions, and share our passions. So anyway, like waffling on, I just want to get straight into like the guts of what these offerings are. This is a community space for women who are down to do the work, both out in their work, out in their, the actual work, and inside. So what do you get and what do we do? This is what I want to move into. And then I'll go into who it's actually truly for and who it's not. So what you'll receive in this community is now we're going to just frame this out a bit. You'll get a private Zoom session, a one-on-one Zoom session with me. And if we get too big, then I'll bring on other coaches, mentors that can help out with that. But for now, it's one 60-minute Zoom coaching session with me. These are optional. These are also self-managed, meaning they're managed, booked by you. And this is something that's not really offered in group spaces, to have access to one-on-one coaching. But I'm going to do it because I like doing shit that other people don't do. And I'm a 2-4 projector, so it brings me closer to who's in the space. But the key thing here is that they're managed by you, and these sessions don't roll over. So if you don't book in April, it doesn't roll over to June, right? You don't have 2 sessions in June available. So what I wanted was for the support to be there if you needed it, and for that option to be there, which I think is pretty cool. We also have a group coaching call each fortnight where you can bring your questions, where we can just weave together as a collective, as women, as wahine, because that's part of the potency of being together in a community. So here's the crazy part: there's no lock-in contracts. You want to come for a month, you don't like it, you don't like something I say, leave. Simple. That's it. Or maybe you stay for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it may be, and you get what you need. Sweet as. This is a self-managed journey where you can obviously talk about it, but if you feel like you have what you need, you can leave. Where I'm not doing locked-in commitments here. You make the commitment to you and to your higher self, and I will help, and I will be there to witness that, and we will be there to support you with that, but ultimately you trust you and what you need. So no lock-in contracts. This is a space where next part. If you do end up staying for a period of 12 months or more, you receive 12 months access to the library and resources and trainings that we have. So not into the actual live group, but into the library. Obviously, you have access to mentoring and questions answered inside of the community, like that's a given. So outside of the group calls, outside of the your one session, you can have a month. If you have questions, if you have things you want to ask, if you just want to share something and be witnessed, that is obviously a part of what's included in the group space. And then what I think is pretty cool is that I will provide discounts to online and in-person trainings or workshops or whatever we might have planned in the community. So there'll be discounted prices for those. So I think that covers it all. The investment for that is $4.99 a month. So $500, but marketing gods say that it's better to say $4.99 because it's more appealing. Whatever, it's $500. Okay, and again, it's self-managed by you, right? You sign up, and it direct debits every month. This year for me is the year of simplicity. Simplicity for me is you sign up on a direct debit, and it just comes out every month, and you take responsibility to make sure that those funds are in there. Like that for me is simple. Okay, and then of course if things come up, like have conversation about it. So that's that. Who is it for? This is all written on the website, which you can take a look at, but I think it's cool for me to talk about and for you to hear me when I say that this is a space for sisters from all cultures. As I said, I've kind of bounced around with like the wording of my niche and stuff like that. But it's a space for sisters from all cultures who know they were here to create impact, who are working to create impact, who are investing time, money, energy into creating impact, and know that they need to get deeper, know that they need to play a smarter game and understand what their unique path is. Yeah, know how they're supposed to uniquely show up in the world, communicate in the world, operate in the world. And they know that doing it how other people have done it, watching Tom, Dick, and Harry do what they do and be really successful, and then going out and trying the same thing, it hasn't worked, as they know it's time to get real within themselves and find out who they are and walk their unique path. This is for sisters who want to embrace their whole being. If you've ever listened to any of my stuff, even worked with me, I am a stand for the whole being of you. What does that mean? Well, we've got well-being and then we've got whole being. Well-being to me is like, let's come and do some stuff to make us feel well for that moment. No, it's not. I'm exaggerating, but you get the picture. For me, whole being is embracing your great, your good, your bad, your ugly, and your fucking quite scary. You know, your scary aspects, the stuff we don't want to look at. It's making space for the whole being. How we teach you, the modalities of how I'm going to guide and teach you in this community about how to understand your uniqueness is through Human Design and Gene Keys. There are times where you're going to need to look at your shadows, right? Which in plain terms means to look at the stuff we don't want to look at. And this is a safe space for you to do that, for things to be normalized. So we need, sisters that come into the space need to have some like understanding and acceptance that this is a holistic framework. We're going to be looking at things that are not pretty to look at, having conversations about things that are not easy to have. And finally, this is for sisters who are ambitious and, you know, already ambitious, but want to now operate without sacrificing their sense of peace and their calm and their sense of calmness and freedom within. They don't want to work and go hustle and all the rest of it if it means that they're going to lose within. And for me, knowing yourself and how you operate it is your absolute superpower, because you know when to say no to things and you say no with ease. You know when to say yes to things and you do what needs to be done, even though it's scary, because you know that is for you. When you know yourself, you're good to go. When you don't know yourself, you're shaky, you're wobbly, you're on the fence, and life remains on the fence. When we know ourselves, we're good to go. We have confidence, we have certainty in who we are in our being. Who's this community not for? People who just want to learn the mechanics of Gene Keys and human design, mainly so they can go and teach others, because that was me, right? But not actually embody the learnings for themselves. This is not the space for you, sis. This is not the space. This journey is about you. It is a self-illumination journey, and things are simplified. That's my genius, is to take big old fucking, you know, modalities such as Human Design and Gene Keys and simplify them. That's my genius, right? That's what we get here. This is also not a space for people who are uncomfortable with being challenged by themselves and or others, you know, and, you know, me. Meaning that, and I just want to expand on this a little bit. If you're not comfortable with someone challenging you, it mainly means that you don't have a connection with them. So what I mean by people who, you know, this is not a space of people who feel uncomfortable with being challenged. If you feel uncomfortable with being challenged by myself or yourself in this space, or the thought of you being challenged in this space by me in this space, just means that we don't have that connection. So it's probably not a space for you. Like, really trust that feeling. Maybe it's somewhere else that you've got to go, to do this work. The last thing, I just want to be transparent about that. No, I'm not for everyone, and you're not meant to go in certain spaces. So really listening to if you're actually comfortable and open to being challenged by, myself, by the knowledge that I teach, that I advocate for. If you're not, that's cool. Find another space. Lastly, this is not for people who want the world around them to change so they don't have to. And I know this one well. But purely to get the most out of your time in this community is about having an honest conversation before you come in, and understanding that, if you got to create the changes that you want to see in the world. And a lot of us, when we step into like a desire to want to create impact and help other people, we can often not look at ourselves a whole lot and not make a whole lot of space for ourselves. So this community is actually founded, and the foundations of this community are about taking up space. But what you'll learn when you come in is that how you take up that space, the space that you take up outside of you and in the work you do and the impact you create in the world, is a direct reflection of how much space you take up within, how much you can explore within yourself. So this space is not a place for people who actually don't want to, take up that space within. It's not going to be a good use of your time, your energy, or your money. All right. So that is the community. I'm most excited about this community because I see where it's going. As a projector, I see where it's going. And like me, for you also, we need to start for the way to unfold. And that's how the space has been created. This is how I'm at this point right now talking to you about offerings for 2023, is because we need to take the action. We need to take the steps. And then the way shows itself. The next step shows itself. So that is the community group. And now I want to move on into my one-on-one offering for 2023. And let me just change my page, because of course I'm reading off my website. Not reading, but just like prompting off my website. So I put up a post the other day, and I spoke about how when I work with you, when I work with somebody, you become whānau to me. The reason for that is because the depths in which we go, there, and the safety that must be there when we work one-on-one, is indescribable. There is a bond created. And for me, something that has never sat completely right is just being in the coaching industry and noticing, when a container will wrap up, say with a coach or a mentor, that it kind of wraps up. You don't talk as much naturally. And you don't really maintain that connection. And I always thought I was weird because, for the ones that we will go deep, like with the wild wahine that I have worked with over the years, and men, I have this connection still intact. And this was about me understanding me and who I was and what was sacred to me and how I am energetically built and designed to move in the world. Connection and community are sacred to me. And so those connections where we have that bond, where we've gone deep, those are lasting. And so it is not, once we do this work together, it is not weird at all that you may find yourself over at my house having a feed, knowing my family, me knowing yours, and having shadow parties together. You will understand what those are when you get to it. It is not strange, that we have that kind of connection towards the end of our container, and definitely afterwards. To me, you become whānau. We start as client and coach, because you're on a journey to showing up in the world in a new way. And that has to happen, right? But this work, what it actually involves, this one-on-one work, it involves me coming with you on your journey. And I bring all of me, and I mean all of me. I mean my great, my good, my bad, and my ugly. My greatness is, sure, my coaching, my experience, my wisdom, my knowledge. My good is my jokes and sharing my own journey and how I've been able to laugh at myself and my experiences, to be able to normalize what you may be going through or what you may be feeling. I bring my bad. I am no stranger to showing all sides of me, especially when we have our collective shadow parties. I give a fuck, right? Even as you see me show up online, I don't give a fuck. I bring all of me, because the core of my work is about being whole. For us to be whole, to accept all of it, that we are both fucked up and fabulous, that we are both a piece of shit and powerful. It's the whole. It's a holistic. And that can't just happen at the end of the work. That happens throughout. And that is what I'm an embodiment of throughout the duration. I bring the whole shit. I bring it all. Once we complete this journey together, as I said, we become like whānau who continue to support each other in this lifetime, because that bond is strong. We've what I generally say is, like, we've journeyed into the absolute crevice of your asshole, and I've bared all as well. Like, there's a bond, right? So this offering, this one-on-one offering, is sacred to me. And the right people will come into it. I have no doubt about that. The right people will come into it. Let me for a second go into what it is, like what the work is, like actually tangibly, what do you get? What do we do? So in a 3-month period, this is what I will call like an initial introductory one-on-one offering. It's 3 months. And it's for those who have watched my stuff, have a connection, resonate, fucking being somewhat aroused by what I'm saying, and things are speaking to you. It's an initial container. It's 3 months where we illuminate your path using your Gene Keys and your human design. And I simplify it for you. I don't hold your hand and read every Gene Key and everything with you. I provide you with that knowledge, and then you do it, and we come back and we share awareness, and you share what you've been through. And, when you're looking at things you don't want to look at or aren't easy to look at, that's what I'm there for. So what you actually receive tangibly is 2 Zoom sessions a month. They're designed on purpose to be fortnightly, so that you can, we meet, the next week you contemplate, you integrate, you allow awarenesses to bubble up. The next week we meet, and then the next week you integrate, you contemplate, and you let awarenesses bubble up. It's designed that way to give you that space, so that we're not always just coming into session and you're not always being overloaded up here. The amount of times I've set out to put out a Gene Keys human design container and haven't is because there is a fine line between like filling your head with information and actually doing the work that these modalities call for, which is subtraction. It's not addition. That's why I've used my genius to simplify these things and give you only what you need to be able to understand your unique path, and everything else, no. Right? So you get the 2 sessions a month, a simplified, personalized human design and Gene Key chart that I create, lifetime access to your own private library with all of that stuff, because this 3 months isn't designed for you to step into like your, like for life to completely change. I mean, it could, great. This 3-month space is for you to understand the path so that you can keep walking it confidently when no one's there, when I'm not there, right? If that's what you want. It's for you to have all the resources and to have your path illuminated so that you understand the game and you can continue contemplating, integrating as you continue on, because you've got all the resources. So that's where the private resource library comes in, because I'm going to put things in there, but you might not look at it until next year, right? If what I know, like with my journey, I've been, journeying with the Gene Keys and Human Design for about 3 years now. Like, this is taste some, go away, live it. Like, this isn't, it's not a magic pill. So, wrapping up, coming to the end, you also get the discounted offerings to online and in-person events. You are more than welcome to be included in the Unearth community. It's optional, you may not want to. And that's an investment of $1,500 per month with me. Again, automated, because simplicity, okay? So if you want to join, you sign up, right? Put in details, first payment comes out, and it's automated every month. Because simplicity. What I am calling and what I love, what I want, what I desire is for people who want to do this work. Oh, just speaking of that, we got a deposit. Okay, little notification. Anyway, I want, desire, and need people to be able to handle their, financial responsibilities, right? And I don't want to have to think about them all too hard. Of course, if there are challenges that come up, communication is key. Come, have a chat, right? But for far too long, I have kind of done everything manually and customized and everything when it really just doesn't need to be. It can be automated and simple until and unless, there needs to be a conversation. So 3-month journey, $1,500 per month for 3 months. And those are the 2 offerings. Anything I've left out? The same as for like who it's for and who it's not for, especially with the one-on-one work with me. It's the same as what I described for the group. But even more so because you are in we're in personal space together. Like, we're going on a one-on-one journey together, So it's welcome to all sisters from different backgrounds, cultures, who absolutely resonate with, being in an indigenized coaching space. It's absolutely not for, you would not want to work one-on-one with me if your main aim was to come and learn information about Gene Keys and Human Design. That would not be smart. And it wouldn't be for people who are uncomfortable with being challenged safely, and don't have that connection with me. It would just make no sense. As I said at the start, the right people will come in. And just to kind of wrap up, I had a 6, maybe 7, maybe 8-month break last year, meaning that I did not hustle at all in my business last year. I did not put out any offers. I tried to, but they got shut down. What I'm trying to say is that, what I love most about these offerings is how good they feel, how ready I am. And, for a long time, I put out offerings and try to make them accessible and make them as cheap as I could. The thing is that with not having generated revenue in my business like consistently for the last 6, 7, I lose count, months, I'm detached from that. And so I'm detached with, needing to put out something just to get like quick cash. The people will come that align to these offerings and they will pay. Those that pay attention. And those that pay attention and pay, like, it happens. It happens. Change happens. What you're looking for happens. And yeah, it was really that time for me to just stop acting like I'm like 1 year into my coaching business, and really start really start putting it on. So anyway, I've been live on Instagram and now here to talk about these offerings to fulfill my non-negotiable for today, which was to put out these offerings. I try to put them out at I try to put a time thing on myself and say, right, get these done before 12 p.m. 12 p.m. rolled around. The offerings went out on social media and I was like, fuck. So I was like, 3 p.m. 3 p.m. rolled around. The offerings went out. Fuck. But you know what I remembered? I know who I am. And I know how I am designed to show up in the world, operate in the world, communicate in the world. And sis, putting hard time limits on yourself is not how you roll. So I had a laugh and I'm putting them out at 5 o'clock and 6:30. And that's just what it is. Sometimes we can just be so hard on ourselves when we are on the mission to creating impact, to helping others, to building businesses. And it's fucking stressful when we do that to ourselves. You know, I'm creating these spaces because I want sisters to have ease, to have the success that they want to go out and get, and not sell your like energy and kidneys and eyeballs, and not sacrifice your peace and your calm and your freedom. I'm going to tell it to you here right now. You get to have your success. You get to have your goals ticked. You get to have your cake and you get to eat it too. You get to have the freedom, the feelings of freedom. You get to not have to hustle and sell your fucking kidneys to have, you know, the success. You get to have the time, the space, the freedom at the same time. When you know how to operate, when you know who you are, when you know. When you don't know, yeah, you're going to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard. And for what? We get to the end of it and we're like, ugh. So these spaces are out. They're on my website. If you're like, say less, sis, book in to the one you feel and we get started. It's all automated. I'll get an email. I'll email you. We begin. You want to work one-on-one? Book it in. I get an email. We begin. If you need to ask me questions, come and ask me questions. Inbox me, email me, do what you need to do. I'm not a thirst trap. I'm not going to even think of selling someone who's on the fence, you know, and coming to ask questions into one of these spaces. Shit, no. You want to come and ask questions, you can come, have a safe space to be held, to get your questions answered, and then you can toddle off and go and make a decision and come back and book on the link. It gets to be simple like that, right? Come and ask your questions. Don't be a stranger. There's been times where I've been curious about a container, but I'm like, I just fucking know that they're going to try and sell to me. Then I'm going to be like, you know, I don't like that. So I won't do anyone like that. You know, of course I could. Of course I could sell to you and do all of that, but that's just not an integrity for me. I trust that you will find your way and make your way into these spaces if it is correct for you, you know, if it is safe for you, if it is the time for you. So I'm good to go. I'm good to get to work. Like, put me to work, sis. Put me to work. Let's get to work. Let's go. The only question you got to ask yourself is, are you? Are you ready? And please bear in mind, these prices may be scary for you. Maybe like, ooh, how do we make this work? Sometimes you got to leap. Sometimes you got to leap, but also be responsible, and also you got to leap, but also be responsible. You know what I'm trying to say. All right. The question here is, this is the question I'll leave you with. Don't look at the cost. Look at what it costs you if you don't. If you continue to, be experiencing. I'll talk more about this in other videos, but what's the cost if you don't get to know yourself? if you keep saying yes to things you don't want to do, if you keep saying no to things that you really do want to do, what is that going to cost you? That's the real cost. Don't look at these costs on the links. Ask yourself about that other cost. What does it cost you energetically, financially, mentally, emotionally, physically, for you to not do this work? And look, some of you might be like, not a damn thing. Won't cost me a damn thing. Good on you, sis. But for those of you who are like, a lot, it's going to cost me a lot, then, come and have a convo, or all the links are on my website. No more Linktree for me, thank goodness. Just my website on my Insta, on my Facebook. Everything's run through my website. Do what you need to do. Reach out if you need. I'll leave it there. Ka kite.